Well, hello, Stacey Murphy here with a quick video on 3 types of stealth food for front yard growing. I get the question from listeners often about front yard growing, homeowners associations that maybe aren't excited about the kind of vegetable gardens that are raised beds, woody and earthy. They think they might look unkempt. They're nervous about their front yards not looking so good, and so there's sometimes regulations, sometimes there's zoning around Victorian houses to keep those vegetable gardens out of the front yards. So what kind of food can you grow right under the nose of people and they won't even know? So I got the inspiration from this video because we are growing in Brooklyn at the 1 Acre Youth Farm at the High School for Public Service, and the students said, how are we going to keep people from coming in and stealing all the food? And what we found is that people didn't even recognize half the food anyway. There was absolutely no stealing that was happening. There was no fences. And for the most part, people are respecting that it's a farm, first of all. But then also the people that might come in and might want to steal food, they didn't even know food was growing. So I got the idea for this video, 3 types of food that are kind of stealthy. So the first category of food that's stealthy is food that people just don't even recognize as food. And on the screen here is purslane. It's a weed, and so this is something that will grow almost anywhere and is a weed. It will propagate quickly. So what kinds of foods are like this that are right under people's noses? They just don't even recognize that it's food. So here's a couple of ideas. So stinging nettle, this is something that people just don't recognize. It looks like a big bushy green plant, and it is packed with nutrients. And so this is something that you can bring to your front yard and people won't even know it's food. Horseradish, interestingly, a lot of the root vegetables or the kind of medicinal herbs, a lot of people just don't even recognize them in the wild. So go ahead and try something like horseradish. I bet you people won't even recognize it. An obvious one to us who grow vegetables is the potato plant, but most people recognize a potato, but they don't recognize the plant. So why not grow potatoes in containers or something where you can really get a lot of soil into that plant where people just don't even recognize that it's a potato plant. It's got these beautiful flowers, right? And then, of course, I was talking about the medicinal herbs, lemongrass. People don't recognize this. It just looks like a big pile of grass, and this is something that you can use to spice up a lot of your dishes. Sorrel is a perennial vegetable that people just don't even recognize. It's got a lemony flavor, and it will grow. I plant just a couple of these and it takes over my garden. So this is something that's like year-round greens if you're living in a temperate climate, and nobody even really knows what it is. Bay, this is a tree, kind of a shrubby, woody tree. You might plant it in a container, you might plant it in the ground, and this is something that we use to spice our soups, and so all the leaves are edible, right? Malabar spinach. So a lot of people, they see spinach and they recognize it, but Malabar spinach is this beautiful vining spinach that grows really as tall as you like. You can grow it over, arches, whatever you want to grow it on top of, and all of those leaves are edible, and you just keep cutting it and it keeps coming back. And this is a very hot weather climate crop as well, so if you're in a really hot place, you can have spinach with this plant. Ginger, also turmeric. These are 2 plants, because they're root crops. We just don't recognize them usually above ground. And so these are something you can grow if you're in a warmer climate. Same thing, perennial cabbage. So we recognize cabbage, we recognize kale and collard these days, but a lot of times something like a perennial cabbage that's kind of bushy, people just don't even recognize it, and all of this is edible. So that's the first category, and hopefully that gets you interested in what you might grow this coming year, some new crops. Even if you're not growing stealthily and you're just looking to add variety into your diet, these are all wonderful things to add, right? So the next category is food people just don't know you can eat. So the first one was they can't recognize it. This one is they just don't know you can eat it. And on the screen here is pokeweed. This is something that you can eat if you boil down. A lot of people don't find it very tasty, but there are dishes that you can make with it. And make sure you cook this very carefully because some of it can be very toxic if you don't cook it. Most people see this as a weed, and so they don't want it in their space, but this is something that people just don't know you can eat. So similar to that, people just don't know you can eat hosta shoots. And so this is something that a lot of places, if you have a shady area, a hosta plant is something that is going to grow really well. And this is the stage of the plant. These little baby shoots and greens, this is the stage of the plant that you can eat. And you can find delicious recipes online for this. Daylily. An amazing plant, so beautiful, right? Lots of flowers, very big, and there are lots of parts of this plant that you can eat. You can eat the tuber, you can eat the small little stalks, you can eat the flower buds and the full flowers. And so at different stages of this plant, you can eat different parts of this plant. Ostrich fern is another thing that you can eat that people don't really know that you can eat. And so those little fiddlehead ferns that we know are at the farmer's market, this is where they come from, these ostrich ferns. So this is something that you could grow where you are as well. And then there are things that people just assume. This is a third category. These are foods that people just assume we're not eating. So people see a dandelion in your yard and they're like, oh, like, oh, look at the weeds. But you're like, look at the food. So there are things that people assume we're not eating, and they may know that you can eat these things, but they're not familiar with people who are growing them. So one of those things is bamboo shoots. And so there are different varieties of bamboo. You want to check at which ones will grow in your region. And basically you're harvesting at this baby stage, and that's what bamboo shoots, that's where they're coming from. Second one that people just don't think you'd be eating is your rose hips. These are medicinal. They're usually once a season, but for the rest of the season you get these beautiful rose bushes, and then you can make rose hip jam or whatever you want to make from your rose hips. And then of course the last thing that people just don't think you're eating are your flowers. And so borage, they might not be familiar with borage as a plant that is a great pollinator plant, bringing lots of pollinators into our gardens. And they might not be familiar with the plant, but they definitely aren't going to think that you're going to be eating these purple flowers. But you can put them on salads to make them very beautiful. And then of course you have other flowers as well, things like calendula that are also medicinal. These are beautiful flowers that are easy to grow, and nobody's going to think that you're doing anything with them, but you could grow a ton of them in your front yard. And if you can find some wild onion to bring into your space, if you have the right conditions for these wild onions, these are things that are very beautiful, and people just, they don't even recognize them as onions. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope you got lots of ideas, and I'm not sharing how to grow all of these different crops, and I'm not sharing all the different conditions, so you should take a look at whether these things work in your local conditions or not. But this just is a sense of all the ideas for stealth crops. People won't even know you're growing them. You're going to get a lot of variation in your diet, a lot of fun because you're out there, sneaking in your harvest from time to time.